Ray Park, Darth Maul, the actor that restarted the Star Wars franchise. In 1999, there was a revival of Star Wars. People talked about the lore, the mythology, the technology, or Disney, but very rarely do they talk about the actors or performances. Star Wars is the star of the show. But the truth is, in 1999's Phantom Menace, there was one silent, physical performance that did more to re-energize the Star Wars franchise than anything else that followed. The original Star Wars trilogy ran from 1977 to 1983. 3 films, a cultural phenomenon. Years later, George Lucas returned to the franchise to write and direct the prequel trilogy. That return began with The Phantom Menace. The movie re-energized and revitalized the Star Wars franchise, gave it a new global interest, introducing a new generation to the universe, and expanding the lore and the love for the franchise. It grossed over $1 billion, justifying the prequel trilogy, and spawning a whole range of extensive media, including the live actions like The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, The Acolyte, animated shows like Star Wars, The Clone Wars, The Bad Batch, spin-off movies like Rogue One, Solo, and The Clone Wars, other animated shows like The Droids or Ewoks, and of course, let's not forget, the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. And none of that exists without the success of The Phantom Menace. Without that, we would never get this Lego movie. We wouldn't get it. So what made The Phantom Menace so damn good? Based on the consensus of Star Wars fans worldwide and Google, critics 25 years after its release have confirmed that the Duel of Fates, the lightsaber fight, is widely considered the best thing in The Phantom Menace, featuring Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul. This climactic scene is celebrated for its intense choreography, John Williams' musical score, and the shocking reveal of Maul's double-bladed lightsaber. So it's pretty clear the best things in The Phantom Menace all center around Darth Maul. Regarded as visually striking and menacing, this villain brought a new level of physical prowess to the Sith. Darth Maul wasn't just a villain, he was physically intimidating, unlike anything Star Wars had shown before. And the reason that it worked wasn't because of CGI or makeup. It was the performance. And it was all due to this guy. Darth Maul was played by Ray Park.
That's basically what he gave me. And I think the key to it was that we had a good villain who was a great fighter.
I always wanted to fly when I was a kid. I wanted to be like the guys in the movies, so that's how I started my martial arts.
I found Darth Maul, and he's being played by a guy called Ray Park, and he's very good in like kendo and martial arts, and he's a brilliant gymnast. I mean, you know, he's better than I am.
We actually cast a villain who was a sword fighter. You know, when you have one of the characters who actually knows what he's doing and is really an expert at it, it definitely ups the ante for all the other actors to do their thing as well as they can. And I think it makes a big difference on the screen.
We could see immediately he had the look, he had all the physical skill, he was incredibly disciplined, and the amount of work that this guy did was phenomenal. I mean, he put everything. He spent 20 hours at the studio every day. The hatred that comes out of his eyes, there's no question that he is the serious bad guy. The makeup, which was beautifully done, instantly shows you someone who is a real menace.
The look with Darth Maul, specifically, I think it's cool. I think the makeup and the horns and the lenses and the teeth, you just can't help being naughty, just help being that character.
For me, he made that movie. And if you ask yourself honestly, can you remember anything else from that film apart from Darth Maul? A martial artist, stunt performer, a physical specialist. He wasn't brought in as a traditional actor. He was actually brought in as a stunt coordinator, working alongside the fight choreographer, not as an actor. He was brought in for the movement, the prep, to train up the actor who would be playing Darth Maul, But when George Lucas saw the intensity and the agility of Park's training, he decided to cast him as the Sith Lord immediately. Through a mix of timing, luck, preparation, and fate, it was decided that he was actually best to play Darth Maul. His ability and control and his look worked perfectly. And to be honest, I can't imagine anyone else in that spot. And let's be real, no one else could move like this and look like this and have that look in his eyes. People like to separate stunt performers from actors as if they're different or one is lesser somehow, but Ray Park broke some barriers. What's fascinating is the magic of movies. Darth Maul's voice was performed by another actor.
We will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
You have been well trained, my young apprentice.
This other guy, Peter Serafinowicz.
The name's Tex. Text. No, Tex, like short for Teddy and, like Texas and that.
An English actor and comedian. But voice is only one tool. Ray Park's performance is all about his physicality, his posture, his speed and control, but also his stillness, the eye contact that he gives. He doesn't need dialogue. He commands attention. He has presence. Ray Park brought wushu into Star Wars, and that matters a lot because wushu, made most famous by Jet Li, wasn't hugely mainstream yet, especially in the biggest sci-fi franchise. The genius of introducing wushu into Star Wars. Because of course a Jedi would be trained up in wushu as well as other martial arts. It isn't just movement or kicks or punches, it focuses on a whole range of traditional weapon training. Wushu has a look to it, and if you know wushu, then you can see it. And it just all makes sense because it adds to the believability of this Jedi Master moving in that way. Like I said, this was before CGI replaced physical performances or tricky edits to fool the audience. In fact, there was no CGI or AI to alter the actors at all at that time. The technology had not got there yet, thank goodness. So what you see, you believe. You believe he's real, you believe he's dangerous. Because you can see it clearly. They're all wide shots. Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson are acting, but Ray Park is the real deal. The moves and the energy. The actors do a great job, but you can sort of see Ray Park is carrying them along the fight. He elevates the fight. The fight revolves around him, and the audience can't take their eyes off him. People can argue whether The Phantom Menace is a good film. People say what's good and what's bad about it. It's okay. I quite like it, but the resurgence of Star Wars begins here. Without its success, the modern landscape of Star Wars just doesn't exist. And at the center of the success is the lightsaber battle, the end scene, the choreography, and Darth Maul. That performance, that presence. And that's all down to this guy. He went on to work on other films, but in many ways, Star Wars never fully used him again. The Darth Maul character has never been topped. Ironically, some of the closest attempts at doing the character justice come from fan-made films. Good films. In my videos, I like to talk about acting, actors and performances, and Ray Park sort of challenges a lot of what people think an actor is. He won't be remembered as a traditional actor because many people just see him as a stuntman, action, martial artist. But what he's doing here with his body, his face, and his eyes is great acting.
Right out of frame. How do you like those twisting? Like, the twist.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. 9.2. Oh, 9.2.
He creates a character from the inside out. Maybe not intentionally. A lot of it happened organically. He's the perfect example of someone not trained in acting, but through his physical training, and the mindset comparable to a Jedi, doing the work on the choreography, discussing it and working with the team, creating a performance, thoughts of the character, how the character moves, why he moves like this. He was doing all the acting prep without realizing that he was going to get the part. He was becoming Darth Maul. And then with the makeup and the outfit, he was truly creating something like a method actor. He has little screen time, and yet his intense stare down at the end is some of the best acting in the movie. You can't just slap paint on anyone. There's a whole process involved in truly becoming the Sith. He doesn't need to speak. There are actors in movies and TV shows, part of the cast, who don't have many lines, but they're acting. It's part of the experience. What he gives is a believable performance. So people don't see a stuntman or martial artist, they see a real character. His performance affected so many people, it revamped the entire fan base. By the way, Ray Park attended so many Star Wars conventions that really had a massive impact on increasing the fandom. And maybe people don't realize this enough. He built a huge fan base based on his personality as well, connecting with the public in these public appearances. The Star Wars franchise especially is hugely dependent on the fan base, and ultimately the viewers who continue to watch and support and buy into all the spin-offs and the merchandise. Ray Park has been creating such a strong, loyal audience over the years who then stay on into the Star Wars universe. They owe him a lot of thanks. Also, at the time, he contributed to something else. I swear, he contributed to this new surge of the early 2000s, where youngsters who were getting into martial arts and gymnastics, I guarantee he did, because I did a lot of martial arts and gymnastics when I was young, and everyone at that time was obsessed with nailing these new moves of Darth Maul. The aerial and the B-twist. There was endless videos on YouTube for kids teaching other kids their tutorials of these amazing moves. And I'm not saying it was completely him, because there was a new interest growing thanks to Jackie Chan and the internet in general and the new extreme martial arts craze. But yeah, Ray Park was a part of it, a big part of it. I guarantee most martial arts kids of that time period, whether they did any forms with the bow staff or the katana, they would all do the lightsaber sounds. And also, in a real way, he assisted in the realization that stuntmen could move over to acting and have an impact to film themselves and didn't always have to be hidden or, hide their face. Each franchise needs a person for the audience to connect with, and Ray Park became one for Star Wars. He's had success for sure in other projects, and that's great. He helped build that generation of loyal, passionate fans that carry on with Star Wars. And is he perfect in everything? No, but what actor is? I mean, it doesn't diminish what he's delivered here. You have to pick and choose the parts that are right for you. And despite any of the controversy online about what he's up to these days, it's not really something I want to explore. I mean, it's been over 20 years now. So, I don't know a lot about it. I think we can all agree that life isn't easy for anyone. And it does feel like Ray Park has given so much to Star Wars, and because the industry, unfortunately, can certainly use certain people and let them think that there are future projects coming up and constantly keeping that door open slightly, but then not really delivering and letting him down and letting the fans down. But anyway, doesn't erase the great work that he did. I was hoping that they would carry out the idea of the Darth Maul series. Although, Darth Maul is so iconic, and maybe it's because they haven't milked it and ruined it. In 2012, Lucas sold his production company to Disney, relinquishing his ownership of the franchise. So, maybe it's best they leave it alone. And for sure, that fight scene has never been beaten in any of the Star Wars films or TV shows. And you think by now, all these new producers and writers that are making all the new films and TV shows, that they would think, they know that the Phantom Menace, that fight scene, is so successful that you'd think that they would just replicate the same process to try and achieve that same thing, but you know, they don't. they just don't. But you know what? Maybe it's meant to stay in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Star Wars meant something special, and George Lucas gave the fandom that special feeling in the cinema that we'll probably never get again. Maybe Star Wars was supposed to feel special for that time, that era. And it was special. I remember it well. And for me, Ray Park is one of the main reasons why it did.